Welcome to today's video. If you've watched my YouTube channel before, you'll know that I'm into stoves and I try and find new and unusual stoves. Well, today this is no exception. Say hello to the FlexiStove. So what is this all about? Here's a quick montage. It's not very often that I come across a stove and I know absolutely nothing about it, but this was an exception. I was looking on a website called MRE Empire. I'll put a link in the description below, and I saw this and I thought, I've got to have one. I don't really know much about this, but the information I've got I'll share with you. I've also sent an email to Vesti Foods, who make this stove, and also to MRE Empire, who sell them, just to get some more information. If anybody comes back to me, I'll let you know. On the MRE Empire website, they say it's a new experimental stove for the British Army. I'm not sure if it's a new experimental stove or an experiment of a stove that was never taken up. And the reason I say that is because when you look on the top, there's a date on there and it says 0915. Well, to me that sounds like this was manufactured in September 2015. So now we're in 2021. So I'm wondering if these were a batch of stoves that were made for experimental purposes, but they was never taken up, and maybe the old stock is being sold off. Any of you out there watching, if you've got any information about this stove, please share in the comments so we can share with the community. Right, let's open him up. All the details on here, I put them up as part of the montage at the beginning. It's 19 centimeters high, or 7.5 inches. It's 18.5 centimeters wide, or 7.25 inches. It's about 5 or 6 millimeters deep, and it weighs 126 grams, or 4.4 ounces. There's 20 grommets with a hole size of 15 millimeters. There's an additional single grommet in the back there, and then the hole size is about 5 millimeters. There's a tab on the back, and the outside material, it's like a plastic, but it's not a plastic. It's very hard to describe. Let's open him up. You can see it's foil lined. If you push that down in there, you get a solid structure, and there's plenty of gap for airflow coming through the bottom. This was designed for the standard British Army stainless steel mug. The idea is the fuel goes in the bottom and then the mug goes in the top, and you've got a nice solid stove. Looks very interesting in design. I can clearly see now that the idea is that lots of air flows through the bottom and the excess heat flows out at the top. This smaller grommet here, that's a hole to put a match through to light the fuel. I was wondering if the new aluminium BCB mug fits. Just out of curiosity, MSR Titan kettle. That wedges in the top there quite nicely. The MSR Titan kettle, I think the bottom of the pot is about 11 centimeters across. I actually quite like the design of this. I can see in certain situations it would be super useful. The whole idea of this is you put your hexi blocks in the bottom of there, or your BCB fire dragon blocks. You light them up through that hole there with a match, and then you put your mug in there and it gives you a nice compact cooking system. What I'm going to do is leave a couple of links in the description for other YouTubers' videos where they've used hexi blocks, BCB, fire dragon tablets, and also I've seen a fire being made in one of these as well. But it makes a hell of a mess. I'm not sure about the longevity of this. I can already see there's a little piece of aluminium coming off there. Let's see how well he performs with alcohol stoves. Just for the purposes of this, I'm going to use a Trangia stove with a trivet placed on upside down, and the only reason for that is that will give us 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters height, and that is the optimum height for a Trangia flame. Put 500 mils of water in the cup, get him on, put a lid on and see how well he performs. I took it down the side of the house to give it a test. I put it in a position where I knew the wind would come from the right to the left. The grommets on there actually allow too much airflow when it's windy, so it doesn't really act as a very efficient windshield. Eventually what I had to do was put an actual windshield to one side. The whole thing sounded more like a pocket rocket rather than an alcohol stove. The handles and the lid got really hot. I was surprised by that. I didn't expect them to get quite so hot. That's why you see me with a glove there trying to not burn my hands. It boiled quite efficiently though, to be fair. And then there was the problem of putting the damn thing out. I dapped in the house and bought a pair of pliers out. They was a bit stiff, so it made it really difficult. This is a prime example of how not to put a Trangia out. It was so far down in there, it's really difficult to get to without burning your hands. I made a right hash of this. Don't try this at home, folks. It boiled 500 ml of water quite quickly, but I had terrible problems putting the Trangia out. I'm really unsure about what this whiteness is on here. It's kind of like a fine white sort of powder. I'm not sure if it's well suited to an alcohol stove after trying that. Maybe it was just because it was very windy. It's a little bit difficult to get to down the bottom of there as well. The front of this is kind of crinkled up a bit. I'm not sure how long this would last. Does it fold back up? Yeah, folds back up, no problem at all. All in all, that was quite an interesting experiment with an experimental stove. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. InfoZhed out.